It's 2021. It's time to admit when we like things. And it's time to admit that sometimes those things are bad. I love Twilight, and I love to hate Twilight. And I hope you'll join me in that journey today as we listen to the account of a 117-year-old mind-reading vampire. As you might guess, he has a lot of interesting stories. He lived through World War, he lived through Vietnam, he lived through 9/11, he died of the Spanish flu, he lived through the disco era. I'm sure he went to all kinds of clubs and did a lot of wacky antics as a vampire. Bronte, would you please stop? But the most interesting story of them all happens to be about the most interesting woman in the world. This woman, Bella, she knows how to do basic biology, so she's not like other girls. She listens to not only Linkin Park, but she also knows Claude Debussy, one of the most famous composers of all time, but to be fair, she probably just knows Claire de Lune from the Twilight movies, so whatever. And I know we have a lot of literature about people with blue eyes. It's always, they had icy blue eyes or ocean eyes. And it's good to have diversity, right? Yeah. And besides, Bella was made in her image, so we get to hear all about Bella's liquid brown eyes on almost every page, and it's so not gross at all. She also has this crease in her eyebrow that is apparently really important to her personality, because Edward mentioned it every day. Kind of makes me feel better about the crease between my eyebrows, but I think that's what the purpose of Bella is. I read I read Twilight in 2006, and I was completely enchanted because, I think we all wanted a romance like this. The disturbing implications of that aside, there was an element of magic to it and slight danger, and the thing was, Edward was so considerate. He was just truly sweet and wanted what was best for Bella and loved her so much. And in this book, you really get to see that sometimes loving someone so much that you will just die for them is actually very unattractive and deeply disturbing. I have to be honest, I've been very slow to read this book because getting in the mindset of Edward I feel like it's given me I need therapy. All of these people need therapy, and nothing wrong with that, but I feel like we all know this guy. We all dated a guy 80 years older than us who, thinks he knows what's best for us. That guy who's like, you should stay away from me, you should avoid me, but also never leave me. I just have to read this thing that Bella said because it really gets to what I feel about Edward. No, I can't imagine why that would be frustrating at all, just because someone refuses to tell you what they're thinking, even if all the while they're making cryptic little remarks specifically designed to keep you up at night, wondering what they could possibly mean. Now, why would that be frustrating? Just take note. It's very annoying. Edward, very annoying. Anyway, he also does this thing. It's just the Edward Cullen, where he goes, oh, I'm such a monster, I'm such a bad guy, I'm gonna keep doing what I do, but just know I feel bad about it, so it's okay. So we all know he went to watch Bella sleep. I think most of us realize by now that's kind of effed up, and if you don't, it's effed up, okay? Don't romanticize that. So, this book came out this year. Stephanie Meyer had the opportunity to do some sort of, retcon. Maybe we could find some excuse for why he had to go in to Bella's room. I don't know. Or she could honestly just left that part out. But here's what she does to try to make it seem justified. Edward goes, oh, I'm so fucked up for doing this. I can't believe he's climbing into the window as he's saying this. I can't believe I'm gonna go sneak into this room and watch her sleep. I really shouldn't be. He's watching her sleep right now. I shouldn't be watching her sleep. And then the other thing he does is he goes, well, you know, I've done other bad stuff, like, you know, I've killed people and like my soul is damned or whatever, so what's another breaking and entering? So they go on this date to Seattle, and their date, which I've realized is actually the most teenage date in the world, is that they're gonna go lay in a meadow. Edward just keeps going, how can you not see how wrong I am? And then he just starts running around and around and growling. Like, can you imagine how weird that would be? A guy from your school asks you on a date. You go and lay in a meadow, and then he starts running around in circles saying, I'm the monster, why can't you see that? But please don't ever leave me. And then he comes back and he goes, I'll be on my best behavior now. The relationships in this book are, you know, obviously not appropriate or healthy. Bella and Edward, I feel like they're like that teen couple that's like so intense, and this is mostly a thing that just happens in media, but they're so intense about how much they love each other, but you have no idea why, because they have no inside jokes. They have like no rapport whatsoever. They just kind of like, I love you. And it's so boring, honestly. Like, them getting to know each other was so boring. There are seriously pages of Edward just asking Bella, what's your favorite candy? What's your favorite movie? And her answers are also like just super boring stuff. Like, you just couldn't possibly get anything more basic. And then they have like supposedly intimate conversations about her mom, and he makes it out like Bella had this hard childhood and she's like making up for that by being the mom and stuff. Her mom was just basically like a little silly growing up. And like, hey, we all got mommy issues. I'm the last person to say that wouldn't affect you as an adult. But I mean, she could have written some sort of backstory for Bella as to why she acts the way she does. Again, I will defend Bella in some respects. She's a very kind person. She is polite to people. She really cares about her parents a lot, and eventually Edward and the Cullens. She would never impose on anybody. She's self-sufficient, and she's pretty smart in some ways. I would say it's not super smart to go hang out with monsters, but I'm not going to victim blame there. There's also, in their relationship, there's a lot of gaslighting, like just the whole fact that Bella's like, hey, Edward, you pushed me out of the way of that car, that was weird. And Edward's like, no, I literally didn't. I was standing with you, and I pulled you out of the way. I wasn't across the parking lot. I was standing right next to you. Like, and then he actually, this made me audibly shout, no. He actually grabs her arm at a certain point because he doesn't want her to leave yet. He goes, where do you think you're going? I was upset, almost angry that she was leaving. I hadn't had enough time with her. Plus, when he sees that Bella's pretty much about to get, like, sexually assaulted, probably, he is, like, really weird about it. Like, he just keeps pushing her afterwards, being like, this isn't normal that you're acting like this. This isn't normal. You should be freaking out. And, you know, you're so not like other girls because you didn't react to almost being raped. And it's like, top 10 things to not say to someone who almost got assaulted. Yike. Here's the thing. If this was a story that was like a gritty telling of an abusive relationship, it would be an interesting story and like worth telling. Like, these relationships do exist, and I don't think we have to pretend they don't. But this is marketed to young people as a romantic story, it's just kind of messed up. I mean, it messed me up. So they're talking about how Bella has had no, experience with fellas. And he says, surely this was a warped, unhealthy way for her to begin her romantic life. And I said, yeah. This book was a warped, unhealthy way for me to start my romantic life. The Cullens are one redeemable part about these stories. Carlisle, who is effectively Edward's dad, has always been this like Jesus figure in the stories, where he's just like so selfless and like he never drinks blood of anybody, and he's like just such a great example for Edward. And I'm like, at least Carlisle and Esme have this like sweet relationship. They've been together forever, and then I find out Esme, she'd met Carlisle as a girl, and I said, she met Carlisle as a what now? So apparently he was basically grooming her. And I'm just, even Dr. Jesus, man, can't have a normal relationship. It's very sad. The other thing I noticed, this is one of those cases where write what you know is important. Stephenie Meyer, I don't know much about her, but based on her writing, I'm going to go ahead and assume she's not a super genius. I'm not a super genius either, okay? I would never write a character that's supposed to have several medical degrees and 100 years of life experience, because, well, maybe I would, but I would definitely do my research. This is a case where you can tell Stephenie is trying to make Edward seem smart by using big words, because there are a couple times, of course, where people get injured and stuff, and Edward's like, she seemed all right, but shouldn't she get her neck checked out at the doctor? And like, he also diagnoses someone as slightly injured. If this guy is a doctor, like, can he not help Bella when she gets hit by a car? Like, he just doesn't seem to have any knowledge at all in the field that he studied for many, many years. I would love to hear more about Edward going through his very long life. And yet, all I get to hear about is Bella's favorite candy being, like, Rolos or whatever. Oh, let me see what else I have to say. I'd written down Edward's incredible doctor analysis on my notes. Oh, one pet peeve I have about writing is when people use each other's names way too much. And if you ever notice this, it's very hard to ignore. I actually have a weird thing about names. I hate saying people's names in conversation. It feels awkward to me. I don't like saying my own name. I know maybe I'm alone in this. So there's this paragraph that just reminded me so much of a soap opera, when he's talking to his hot vampire friend Tanya, and he won't sleep with Tanya just because sex is bad and he's a sinner, and she's like friend zoned again. So he goes, "Thank you, Tanya. I needed to hear that." Her thoughts turned petulant. "You're welcome, I guess. I wish you would be more reasonable about things, Edward." "I'm sorry, Tanya. You know you're far too good for me. I just haven't found what I'm looking for yet." "Well, if you leave before I see you again, goodbye, Edward." "Goodbye, Tanya." What a weird exchange that was. She really isn't that important in the story. Also, I should note, when I read a book or watch a movie, I forget what happens about 2 days after. So if there's anything I missed or got wrong in this, please, you can correct me, but just know I'm probably going to cry about it. It's just my faulty trapdoor of a brain. So it's like, I guess the moral of this video is, if a guy keeps telling you that he's a monster and that you should stay away from him, believe him. One more thing though, Alice Cullen is the light of my life. If you guys like this video, let me know and I will do more. I haven't gotten through, believe it or not, haven't gotten through this whole thing yet, so I'm sure that nothing else in this story will make me say yikes at all. I think we'll be yike free from now on. Find out next time.